I'm spinning this wheel, and wherever it lands, I have to go. Because Ryan Trahan challenged me
Yeah, I'm in this video too, don't question it.
to visit 10 random countries in 10 days to prove I have what it takes to be a real tourist. It's officially day 3, and we've already visited Italy and Switzerland. Let's see where I'm going next. Hey guys, we just made it to Berlin, and we cannot leave this country until Leo and I complete 3 tasks.
Number 1, you gotta find the coolest souvenir you possibly can. Number 2, you have to eat a traditional food. And number 3, you must visit a famous landmark. Good luck.
But we've only got 24 hours left, so let's head into Berlin to find a souvenir. We started off our day by walking through the Unter den Linden, Berlin's Grand Boulevard, and it's amazing. There's historic buildings all along the streets, statues everywhere, and thankfully, way fewer crowds than Italy, so we can actually stop, look around, and take it all in at our own time. Now, I'm gonna be honest, Germany wasn't really the country I was most excited for. I've got nothing against it, but I've always viewed Germany as having this cold and uninviting vibe. But as soon as we walked through the city, I realized I might have been way off. One of the first places we come across is Brandenburg Gate. Seeing it in person is surreal. Photos don't do justice to how massive it is. These columns are towering, and standing under it, you feel like you're walking through a portal into history. You can almost imagine the rallies and speeches that happened here.
Tear down this wall.
A few blocks later, we spot the Lessing Monument tucked into a little square. It's quieter here. There's no big tour groups, and it's just relaxing walking through the park. Even the people around here seem really nice and happy. Then the Berlin Cathedral comes into view, and wow, up close the details are insane. There's arches, angels, and carvings everywhere. From a distance, it honestly looks unreal. But eventually we come across this 2-story shop packed full of crazy souvenirs. There were so many options to choose from that it was kind of overwhelming. The shelves are full of glasses, knives, and even some shirts that read, "I love German boys." We didn't want something cheap or gimmicky, we wanted something that actually felt, well, German. And that's when we found it, a handcrafted music box. When you turn the crank, it plays Edelweiss. The music box itself felt perfect, which means task 1 is officially complete. Though we found a pretty cool souvenir, exploring the city had already taken up a lot of our day. So we needed to hurry if we wanted to complete our second task. And on the way, we came across this. From the outside, it looks simple, but once you walk in, the ground drops. The slabs get taller and the city noise fades. This is the memorial to the murdered Jews of Europe. The field is made up of 2,711 concrete slabs that form a giant maze and commemorate the 6 million Jews that were murdered across Europe. Leo and I felt uneasy, and honestly, I think that was the whole point. There aren't any names on the stones or signs telling you what to feel, so we took a minute, paid our respects, and kept on moving. A few blocks later, we stumbled across a little restaurant called Margelschen. Unlucky for us, the menu was all in German, but after managing to translate it, there were so many good options to choose from. They had schnitzels, stews, and even a sausage platter. But after some back and forth, we decided on sauerbraten. This dish goes back hundreds of years. And back in the day, before fridges existed, this marinade wasn't just for flavor. It was how people preserved their meat. And over time, it became one of Germany's national dishes. But is it actually any good? Let's take our first bite. At first, I thought it was pretty good. But after a couple more bites, I realized that I was probably just starving. The meat didn't really have any flavor to it and tasted weirdly sour, so I wasn't too keen on finishing it. But at least we still tried it, and that officially means that task 2 is complete. I'm actually starting to feel like a tourist now, but we have already spent half our day in Berlin. And if we want to keep Ryan happy, we've got to move fast.
If you fail, I'll be super mad, really upset.
On the way, Berlin had a couple of surprises waiting for us. This is the highest swing in Europe, 120 meters above Berlin's rooftops. The view from up here is amazing, but to see it while swinging above the city is a whole different experience. You start off slow and simple, but surely enough, you get swung further and further. And each time it happens, was just as terrifying as before. I didn't realize it until after that I was supposed to put my hands through some loops on the chains. And I swear, if the guy pushing me didn't pull me back when he did, I literally would have fallen and been dangling off that rope. So after a couple of swings, I was glad to get down. Leo was definitely enjoying this a lot more than I was. But even still, when they asked him if he wanted to turn up the heat and get twisted around, he was more than happy to play it safe.
You want to twist?
After that experience, I needed something to calm me down and stop my hands from shaking. So when we spotted a funky sign that read Berlin Ice Bar, we couldn't resist ourselves. Inside, it felt like we stumbled into a little hidden gem. They even had a video which set up the backstory for this place. And even though it was all in German, I think we got the gist of it. At the entrance, we were greeted by some guy in this funky uniform. And the second we walked through the door, it got freezing cold. Everything inside is made entirely out of ice. The walls, the seats, and even the glass your drink is served in. There weren't too many people inside, and with the upbeat music pumping through the speakers, it all just felt like an awkward little nightclub. But I guess the concept was cool. No pun intended. It was a pretty nice place to take some photos, and luckily we managed to snap one right by the bar with our frosted drinks. I can't lie though, we're not the biggest fan of bars, and with only a couple of hours left in Germany, we couldn't waste time. We still have one last task to complete, and we have to move fast if we want to pull it off. And for our landmark, well, I think we had the perfect one in mind. This is the Berlin Wall. From a distance, it looks like a long street gallery. There's murals, tags, and all sorts of graffiti full of bright colors. But the story behind it is heavy. After World War II, Germany was split up between the Allies in the West and the Soviet Union in the East. Berlin, even though it was deep in East Germany, was divided the same way. Half the city was free, the other half was under Soviet control. Which meant if you lived in the East and wanted a better life, all you had to do was walk across the street. And that's exactly what people did. So in 1961, the Soviets built the Berlin Wall. Overnight, families were torn apart. Friends were trapped on opposite sides, and for nearly 30 years, anyone who dared to escape risked their lives. Many were caught, some were killed, and others died trying. So when the wall fell in 1989, most of it was destroyed in celebration. But a few sections like this were left to remind you what it took to get here. Standing here now, it proves that things don't stay broken forever. Walls fall, cities rebuild, and life keeps moving forward. And just like that, Task 3 is officially complete. But we're not done yet because we still have 7 more countries to go before we can even think about calling ourselves real tourists. Which means it's time for the Wheel of Destiny. On this wheel is every country surrounding Germany, and wherever it lands, we have to go to next. Let's see where we're going. Subscribe to see which country we're going to next.